"Mom, I need to tell you something. Please don't be mad." Those were the words that started everything. My daughter Emma stood in my kitchen, wringing her hands the way she'd done since she was 5 years old. But she wasn't 5 anymore. She was 28, and something was terribly wrong. "Sweetheart, you can tell me anything," I said, putting down the dish I'd been drying. She took a breath. "Aunt Diane is launching that wellness app, the one I told you about months ago. My idea. She's calling it her own." Pause. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not surprise. No, I'd been watching my sister-in-law Diane for years. But this was bold even for her. "Are you sure?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Emma nodded, tears welling. Up, I showed her my business plan at Christmas. Told her everything, the name, the features, the marketing strategy. She said it was brilliant, that I should go for it. She laughed bitterly. I thought she was being supportive for once. "Before I tell you what happened next, I want to ask you something. If someone you loved was being destroyed by family, would you stand by and watch? Or would you fight? Subscribe if you love real stories about truth and justice, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if this was your daughter?" "When did you find out?" I asked, keeping my voice steady even though rage was building inside me. "She announced it on Facebook this morning. There's a whole post about how she's been working on this passion project for months. How it's her vision coming to life, Mom." She even used my tagline, word for word. I pulled Emma into my arms. She was shaking. My brilliant, sweet, too kind daughter was shaking because family had betrayed her again. Emotional tone. That's when I realized this wasn't an isolated incident. This was a pattern. And I've been blind to it because Emma never complained, never caused drama, never fought back. "What are you going to do?" I asked her. She pulled away, wiping her eyes. "Nothing. What can I do? She's family. If I make a scene, everyone will say I'm jealous or vindictive. You know how the family is. Diane's the golden child. I'm just... Mom, please. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just needed to tell someone." She left 20 minutes later, and I stood in my kitchen with the decision crystallizing in my mind. If Emma wouldn't fight for herself, then I would fight for her, determined tone, but I wouldn't fight the way Diane would expect. No screaming matches. No public scenes. No stooping to her level. I would be strategic, methodical, patient. I would gather evidence, expose the truth, and let Diane destroy herself with her own lies. It was time someone protected my daughter from the wolves wearing. Family faces. To understand what happened, you need to understand my family. And to understand my family, you need to understand Diane. Slight pause. Diane married my husband's brother, Robert, 30 years ago. She was beautiful, charming, and ambitious in a way that made people either admire or fear her. Robert adored her. He still does, poor man. He's a good person, gentle, kind, successful in his accounting firm. But he's also blind when it comes to his wife. Diane and Robert had one daughter, Ashley. Where Emma was raised to be kind and considerate, Ashley was raised to be the center of the universe. Every accomplishment was celebrated like she'd won a Nobel Prize. Every setback was someone else's fault. Emma and Ashley grew up as cousins, only 2 years apart. As children, they'd been playmates. But by high school, the dynamic had shifted. Soft tone, remembering. I remember Emma coming home from Ashley's Sweet 16, quiet and withdrawn. When I asked what was wrong, she said Ashley told everyone. That essay I helped her write for a P English, she said she wrote it herself, that I'd actually copied parts of hers for my essay. I'd been angry. I'd wanted to call Diane immediately, but Emma begged me not to make it a thing. "It doesn't matter, Mom. I know the truth. That's enough." That phrase, "it doesn't matter," became Emma's mantra for years when Ashley got into college using a recommendation letter Emma had essentially written for her. Emma said it didn't matter. When Ashley borrowed $500 for emergency car repairs and never paid it back. Emma said it didn't matter when Ashley took credit for the volunteer project Emma organized at their church. Emma said it didn't matter. Pause. Emotional build. I should have seen it then. Should have realized that Emma's kindness was being weaponized against her, but I told myself these were small things. Family squabbles, growing pains. Besides, Emma was thriving in her own way. She'd graduated with honors, landed a great job in marketing, and was genuinely happy. She didn't need my interference, or so I thought. The truth was, I hadn't been paying close enough attention. I'd been so proud of Emma's independence that I hadn't noticed the pattern. Diane wasn't just taking advantage of Emma. She was systematically stealing from her ideas, credit, money, opportunities. And she taught Ashley to do the same, building tension. The wellness app wasn't the first time Diane had stolen Emma's work. It was just the first time I'd caught it happening in real time. 6 months earlier, Emma had been excited about a marketing campaign she'd pitched at work. It was innovative, data-driven, and exactly the kind of outside-the-box thinking her company needed. But her boss had rejected it as too risky. 2 months later, I'd been at a family dinner when Diane casually mentioned that Ashley had just gotten a promotion at her marketing firm for an innovative campaign she'd developed. I hadn't thought much of it at the time. But now, as I sat alone in my kitchen after Emma left, I opened Facebook and found Ashley's post about her promotion. The campaign she'd described was Emma's. Nearly word for word, anger rising, controlled. I felt sick. How long had this been going on? How many of Emma's ideas had been stolen and repackaged as someone else's success? I opened my laptop and started searching. Emma's social media, Ashley's social media, Diane's social media, old family photos, group chat messages. What I found made my blood run cold. I've never considered myself a detective, but that night I became one. I started with the obvious, the wellness app. Emma had mentioned showing Diane her business plan at Christmas. That was 8 months ago. I pulled up my phone and found the family photo album from that gathering. There was Emma, laptop open, showing Diane something on her screen. Diane was leaning in, nodding, smiling that smile that I'd always thought was warm but now realized was calculating. I screenshot the photo and saved it. Evidence point 1. Next, I went through Emma's old emails. She'd forwarded me some things over the years, proud moments she'd wanted to share. I found the original business plan for the wellness app, dated December 28th, the day after Christmas. The email to me said, "Mom, Aunt Diane actually loved my app idea. She gave me some great encouragement. Maybe this could really happen." Evidence. Point 2, pause, building case. Then I did something I'm not proud of, but don't regret. I called my friend Susan, who worked in corporate law, and asked her about intellectual property and proof of concept. She explained that timestamps on documents, emails, and even social media posts could establish who created an idea first. If your friend has emails, drafts, anything dated before someone else's launch, that's powerful evidence, Susan said. I thanked her and kept digging. Ashley's promotion campaign was next. I found Emma's original pitch deck in her Google Drive. She'd shared it with me once, asking for feedback. It was dated March 15th. Ashley's promotion announcement was May 20th. The campaign details Ashley posted were almost identical to Emma's. Rejected pitch. Evidence. Point 3, emotional undertone, but the money was what really broke my heart. I went through my own records and found at least 8 instances over 5 years where Emma had loaned money to Ashley or Diane. car repairs, medical bills, emergency expenses. The amounts ranged from $300 to $2,000 total. Over $11,000 never repaid. I called Emma that night. Sweetheart, do you have any record of the money you loaned Ashley over the years? Silence, Mom. Why are you asking? Just trust me. Do you have Venmo receipts? Text messages? Anything? She did. She sent me screenshots. Each transaction had a note. For car repair, we'll pay back Friday. For Mom's surgery copay, you're a lifesaver. For apartment deposit, thank you, thank you. None of those promises had been kept. Evidence. Point 4 through 11, determined tone. But I needed more. I needed to understand the full scope of this betrayal. So I did something else I'm not particularly proud of. I started paying attention to family group chats. We had a family WhatsApp group, 37 members. Extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles. I'd muted it years ago because it was mostly memes and birthday wishes. I unmuted it and started scrolling back through months of messages. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. In January, someone had shared a fundraiser for a women's shelter. Emma had commented, I volunteer there. It's an amazing organization. Donated. The 3 messages later, Diane had written, Emma's so sweet, but between you and me, she volunteers like twice a year and exaggerates her involvement. Ashley actually coordinates their whole social media presence. That was a lie. Emma volunteered every Saturday. I knew because she'd skip our weekly brunches to do it. Pause, letting that sink in March. There'd been a discussion about family vacation plans. Emma had suggested a beach house rental she'd found. Before she could send the link, Diane had written, Emma's not great with budgets, guys. Let me find something more realistic. Emma had stopped replying to the thread after that. In May, someone asked about marketing advice for their small business. Emma had offered to help for free. She loved supporting family. Diane had replied, Emma means well, but she's kind of junior level still. Ashley actually runs campaigns for major brands. I can connect you. Emotional build, message after message. Month after month, I watched Diane systematically undermine my daughter's confidence, credibility, and contributions, and Emma never defended herself. Not once. I felt rage like I'd never felt before. But I also felt something else, clarity. This wasn't about one stolen app idea. This was about years of calculated psychological warfare designed to keep Emma small, doubtful, and exploitation. Diane needed Emma to stay kind and conflict-averse because that made her easy to use. Pause, steely determination. Well, she'd forgotten one thing. Emma might be too kind to fight back, but I wasn't. I spent the next week gathering everything I could. Documents, screenshots, timestamps, witnesses I reached out to. Emma's former colleagues who'd left her company and asked subtle questions about the marketing campaign that got rejected. 2 of them confirmed they'd later seen very similar campaigns from Ashley's firm. I tracked down the volunteer coordinator at the women's shelter. She gushed about Emma for 20 minutes, calling her one of our most dedicated volunteers and mentioning that Emma had personally raised $8,000 for them last year. I documented everything Diane had said about Ashley's accomplishments and cross-referenced them with Emma's timeline. The patterns were undeniable. Calculating tone. Now I needed a plan. A way to expose this that wouldn't make me look like the crazy protective mother. That wouldn't give Diane any way to spin this as jealousy or family drama. The opportunity came 2 weeks later. Robert called to invite us to their annual summer barbecue. It's going to be big this year, he said happily. Diane's launching her app the same day, so we're combining the celebration. The whole family will be there. I smiled. We wouldn't miss it for the world. Double quotes perfect. I had 6 weeks until the barbecue. 6 weeks to prepare everything. First, I needed to talk to Emma. Really talk to her. I invited her over for dinner, just the two of us. After we ate, I poured us both wine and said, I need to show you something. I opened my laptop and showed her everything I'd found, the timeline of stolen ideas, the money that was never repaid, the messages undermining her in family chats, the evidence that her original business plan predated Diane's app by 8 months. Emotional moment. Emma's face went through so many emotions: shock, hurt, anger, and then, heartbreakingly, resignation. Mom, what good does this do? You want me to confront Diane, accuse her in front of everyone? They'll say I'm bitter and jealous. I don't want you to do anything, I said quietly. I'm asking your permission to do something. She looked at me wearily. What? Let me handle the barbecue. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to confront anyone. Just trust me. Mom, Emma, I took her hands. Your whole life you've been kind. You've been generous. You've put family harmony above your own needs. And I'm proud of who you are. But kindness doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Sometimes someone who loves you needs to fight the battles you won't fight for yourself. Pause. Tears rolled down her cheeks. What are you going to do? Something your Aunt Diane will never see coming. The truth. She was quiet for a long time, then she nodded. Okay, but Mom, please don't make it ugly. Sweetheart, I said, I'm not going to make anything ugly. I'm just going to hold up a mirror. Have you ever had to fight for someone you love when they wouldn't fight for themselves? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you're invested in this story, hit that like button. We're just getting to the good part. The next 5 weeks were busy. I created a presentation. Not a dramatic slideshow meant to shame anyone, just a simple, factual timeline, dates, documents, screenshots, bank records showing the loans Emma had made, email timestamps showing when she'd shared ideas versus when Diane or Ashley had. Launch them. I titled it, A Celebration of Emma's Work. Slight pause, meaningful. I practiced my delivery until it was calm, factual, unemotional, no accusations. Just facts. I also prepared for contingencies. What if Diane tried to leave? What if Robert got defensive? What if other family members sided with them? I made copies of everything and put them in USB drives. One for each family member who'd be attending. If anyone doubted what I was showing them, they'd have the evidence in their hands. I also did something else. I contacted a small tech blog that covered wellness apps and pitched them a story about stolen intellectual property in the startup space. They were interested but needed proof. I told them I'd have it for them after August 15th, the day after the barbecue. Finally, 2 days before the event, I had one more conversation with Emma. Are you sure about this? She asked. Once you do this, there's no going back. The family will never be the same. I looked at my daughter, my brilliant, kind, too forgiving daughter, and said something I should have said years ago. Emma, some family bonds are worth breaking if they're built on exploitation and lies. You deserve better. You've always deserved better. She hugged me tight. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. And I promise after tomorrow, no one will ever take advantage of your kindness again. August 14th arrived bright and sunny. Perfect weather for a barbecue. Perfect weather for justice. Emma and I arrived at Diane and Robert's house at 2 p.m. The backyard was decorated beautifully. White string lights, tables covered in food, a banner that read, Congratulations, Diane, app launch day. About 40 family members were there. Cousins, aunts, uncles, grandchildren running around. Everyone happy and oblivious. Diane greeted us with air kisses and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Margaret, Emma, so glad you could make it. Wouldn't miss it, I said sweetly. Ashley was there too, holding court with some younger cousins, talking loudly about some campaign she was working on. Emma stayed close to me, nervous energy radiating off her. It's going to be okay, I whispered. At 4 p.m., Robert clinked his glass and called for everyone's attention. Thank you all for coming. We're here to celebrate my amazing wife and the launch of her wellness app, Mindful Body. Diane, honey, you want to say a few words? Building tension, Diane stood up, glowing with pride. She talked about her vision for the app, how she'd worked so hard to develop it, how it was her passion project coming to life, how she hoped it would help millions of people. She didn't mention Emma once. When she finished, everyone clapped. Robert beamed. Ashley whooped loudly. Then I stood up. Actually, before we eat, I'd like to share something too. A little tribute to Emma. Diane's smile froze. Oh, that's sweet, Margaret, but this is really Diane's day. It'll just take a few minutes, I said pleasantly. Robert, may I use your laptop and projector? I know you have it set up for Diane's demo later. Robert looked confused, but nodded. Sure, of course. Pause, crucial moment. I connected my laptop to their projector screen. Emma was staring at me, pale but trusting. So I began, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet backyard. I wanted to take a moment to celebrate my daughter, Emma, because she's done some truly remarkable things. And I realized recently that not everyone in the family knows about them. I clicked to the first slide. It was a photo of Emma at her college graduation, beaming with pride. Emma graduated summa cum laude with a degree in marketing. She was top of her class. Click, next slide. Emma's acceptance letter to her company. She was recruited by one of the best firms in the state. Click, next slide. A timeline. And over the past 5 years, Emma has developed some incredible ideas. Tone. Still pleasant, but pointed. The timeline showed dates. December 28th. Emma develops business plan for wellness app called Mindful Body. Shares with family member app. Christmas gathering, August 14th. Family member launches app called Mindful Body using identical branding and strategy. I let that sit for a moment. Diane's face had gone white. Margaret, what are you doing? Just showing everyone Emma's work, I said mildly. There's more. Click. The marketing campaign timeline. Emma's pitch dated March 15th. Ashley's original campaign dated May 20th. Side by side. Comparison showing. The similarities. Click. Screenshots of Venmo transactions. $500 for car repair will pay back Friday. $1,200. For emergency, you're a lifesaver. $2,000 for apartment deposit. Thank you. Never repaid. Total $11,400. Emotional intensity rising. The backyard was dead. Silent. Click. Screenshots from the family group chat. Diane's messages undermining Emma, lying about her volunteer work, dismissing her professional accomplishments. Now, I said, my voice still calm, but with steel underneath. I'm not here to cause drama. I'm here to state facts. These are all real. The timestamps are all verifiable. The documents are all authentic. I have copies for anyone who wants to verify themselves. Robert stood up, his face red. Margaret, this is inappropriate. Is it? I turned to him. Is it inappropriate to point out that your wife stole my daughter's business idea? That your daughter has been taking credit for Emma's work and never repaying money she borrowed? That for years, Diane has been systematically undermining Emma while exploiting her kindness. Pause, powerful moment. Or is it only inappropriate when someone finally calls it out? Diane found her voice. This is ridiculous. That app was my idea. Emma must have mentioned something similar at Christmas, but I'd been thinking about it for years. Really? I clicked to the next slide. Emma's original mock-ups, sketches, feature lists, all dated and time-stamped. Because Emma has documentation. Going back 10 months, do you? Silence. Ashley jumped in, her voice shaking. That marketing campaign was mine. I don't know what Emma told you, but Emma told me nothing, I said quietly. I found her original pitch deck myself. Dated 2 months before your promotion. Your boss might be interested to know that. Moment of reckoning, I looked around at the family. Some looked shocked, some looked uncomfortable. Some were nodding slowly, pieces clicking into place. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Diane is going to shut down that app. Or Emma is going to file for intellectual property theft and contact tech journalists who are very interested in this story. Ashley is going to pay back every cent she borrowed with interest. And going forward, both of you are going to stop exploiting my daughter's kindness. Diane was shaking with rage. You can't prove any of this would hold up legally. Actually, said a voice from the crowd. Susan, my lawyer friend, who I'd invited without telling anyone, I've reviewed the evidence. It's pretty airtight. Emma has proof of concept, documented, sharing with you before your launch, and multiple witnesses. You'd lose in court badly. The barbecue ended shortly after that. Diane and Ashley disappeared into the house. Robert tried to argue, but even he couldn't refute the evidence. He looked betrayed and confused, realizing his wife had been lying to him too. Family members approached Emma with apologies. Some had believed Diane's subtle undermining over the years. Others had simply been oblivious. Emma handled it with her characteristic grace, though I could see she was overwhelmed. We left after an hour. In the car, Emma finally broke down, emotional, cathartic. I can't believe you did that, she sobbed. I can't believe you actually did that. Are you angry with me? I asked that. She shook her head. No, I'm relieved and grateful. And I feel like I can finally breathe. Over the next few days, things moved quickly. Diane took down the app. She posted a vague announcement about moving in a different direction and never mentioned it again. Robert called to apologize. He'd had no idea about the pattern of theft and manipulation. He and Diane were in marriage counseling. Ashley sent Emma a Venmo payment for $12,000, the original amount plus $1,000 in interest. She also sent a text. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I hope someday you can forgive me. Emma didn't respond. She wasn't ready. Maybe she never would be. And that was okay. Reflective tone. The family dynamic shifted. Some relatives sided with Diane, accusing me of humiliating her publicly. Others thanked me for finally saying what needed to be said. The big family gatherings became smaller, more selective, but Emma flourished. 3 months later, she launched her wellness app. She called it Boundary Bloom, a name she'd come up with after everything happened. It was about mental health, setting boundaries, and protecting your peace. It was beautiful. She got funding from a small investor group. The tech blog that I'd contacted did a feature story about her, not about the theft, but about her innovation and resilience. Within 6 months, Boundary Bloom had 50,000 users. Emma quit her corporate job and worked on her business full-time. She was happier than I'd ever seen her, warm, proud. One Sunday, we sat together at brunch, our tradition we'd resumed after years of her missing it for volunteer work or family obligations. Mom, she said, I want to thank you. You already? No, I mean really thank you. For seeing what I couldn't see, for fighting when I wouldn't, for teaching me that protecting yourself isn't the same as being cruel. I squeezed her hand. You were never weak, Emma. You were kind. Those are different things. You just needed to learn that kindness doesn't mean accepting abuse. I'm still working on that, she admitted. Setting boundaries is hard, but you're doing it. I'm so proud of you. Pause, meaningful. She smiled. I'm proud of me too. For the first time in a long time, people ask me sometimes if I regret what I did. If I regret destroying the family harmony. As some relatives put it, my answer is always the same. You can't destroy something that was never real. Our family harmony was built on Emma's silence, on her accepting mistreatment without complaint, on her putting everyone else's comfort above her own well-being. That's not harmony. That's oppression with a smile. Pause, important wisdom. Real family, real love, doesn't require someone to make themselves smaller so others can feel bigger. Real family celebrates your successes instead of stealing them. Real family lifts you up instead of tearing you down. Real family respects boundaries instead of exploiting kindness. And when family fails to do those things, sometimes you need someone who loves you to hold up a mirror and force everyone to see the truth. Don't learn something too through all of this. I learned that protecting your children doesn't end when they turn 18. It doesn't end when they move out or get jobs or become independent adults. Sometimes they need protection from people who should love them but don't. Sometimes they need someone to fight battles they're too kind to fight themselves. Sometimes they need permission to put their own well-being first. Emma taught me something as well. She taught me that kindness is a strength, not a weakness, but only when it's paired with boundaries. That forgiveness is beautiful, but it doesn't require accepting ongoing harm. That family is important, but not more important than self-respect. Building to conclusion, the last time I saw Diane was at a distant cousin's wedding, 8 months after the barbecue. She was there with Robert and Ashley. We were polite, civil, but distant. As we were leaving, she caught my arm. I suppose you got what you wanted, she said bitterly. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt something unexpected. Not anger, not satisfaction, just sadness. I never wanted revenge, Diane, I said quietly. I just wanted justice for my daughter and respect. The same things you would have wanted if someone had treated Ashley the way you treated Emma. She didn't respond. What could she say? As I walked away, I realized something. The revenge I planned wasn't revenge at all. It was truth. And truth, when it's been hidden for long enough, can feel like revenge to the people who've been lying. A year after the barbecue, Emma called me with news. Mom, Boundary Bloom just hit 1 million users. 1 million people using the app that Diane tried to steal. 1 million people benefiting from Emma's vision, creativity, and kindness. I'm so proud of you, I said, tears in my eyes. I couldn't have done this without you, she replied. Not just the business, but finding my voice, learning to protect myself, understanding that I deserve good things. Emotional moment. We talked for over an hour about her future plans. She wanted to expand the app's features, start a podcast about healthy boundaries, maybe write a book someday. Everything she mentioned, I knew she'd accomplish, because now she had something she'd never had before, confidence in her own worth. The volunteer work continued too. Emma still went to the women's shelter every Saturday, but now she also ran workshops on boundary setting and recognizing emotional manipulation. She helped other women see patterns in their relationships that she'd once been blind to in her own. One Saturday, I went with her to observe a workshop, watching Emma teach a room full of women how to protect themselves without losing their kindness. It was beautiful, powerful, important. After the workshop, a young woman approached Emma with tears in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. My family has been treating me the way you described. I thought it was normal. I thought it was love. But now I see. Emma hugged her. I understand. I really do. And I promise it gets better when you start honoring yourself. Driving home, I said to Emma, you know, something good came from all the pain Diane caused you. You understand it in a way that helps other people. She nodded thoughtfully. I thought about that. If she hadn't done what she did, maybe I would never have learned these lessons. Maybe I wouldn't be able to help others now. She paused. But I still wish I'd learned them differently. I know, sweetheart. Me too. Still, she continued, I refuse to be grateful for her cruelty. But I can be grateful for my own growth, for your protection, for the boundaries I've learned to set. Those things are mine. I earned them. Diane doesn't get credit for my strength. That's when I knew Emma had truly healed. She wasn't giving Diane power over her narrative anymore. If you're listening to this story because someone you love is being exploited, diminished, or betrayed by family, I want to tell you something. Direct caring. You're not powerless. You might feel like intervening makes you controlling or dramatic. You might worry about making things worse. You might tell yourself it's not your place, but sometimes love requires action, not just sympathy. Here's what I learned. First, document everything. If you suspect someone is being exploited, gather evidence. Screenshots, emails, bank records, timestamps, witness statements. You can't fight manipulation with anger alone. You need facts. Second, respect the person's autonomy, but don't confuse that with abandoning them. Emma didn't want to fight. I respected that. But I also recognized that her desire to avoid conflict came from years of conditioning. Sometimes, people need someone to model the strength they don't yet have. Pause. Third, strategic action is more effective than emotional confrontation. Diane would have loved for me to scream and cry and attack her at that barbecue. It would have made me look unstable and her look like a victim. Instead, I presented facts calmly. That gave her nowhere to hide. Fourth, prepare for consequences. Some relationships will end. Some people will side with the abuser because it continued 1240 memes easier than facing uncomfortable truths. Some family members will resent you for disrupting the status quo. That's okay. Protecting someone you love is more important than maintaining a false peace. Fifth, and most importantly, empower the person to take control of their own story eventually. What I did at the barbecue was necessary, but afterward, I stepped back. I let Emma decide whether to forgive, how to move forward, which relationships to maintain. My job was to create space for her voice, not to replace it with mine. Emotional, sincere. Your child, whether they're 8 or 80, deserves to be protected from people who hurt them, even when those people are family, especially when those people are family, because family should be the safest place, not the most dangerous one. And if you're the person being exploited, if you're the Emma in your story, hear this. Your kindness is not weakness. Your desire for peace is not cowardice. Your willingness to forgive is not permission for ongoing harm. You deserve relationships that honor your gifts instead of stealing them. You deserve family that celebrates you instead of diminishing you. You deserve love that lifts you up instead of holding you down. And if the people in your life can't provide that, it's not your job to keep sacrificing yourself on the altar of family unity. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is set a boundary. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is let someone else fight for you until you're strong enough to fight for yourself. Final pause. Powerful. Emma's app is called Boundary Bloom for a reason, because boundaries, when honored and protected, allow beautiful things to grow. Things like self-respect, confidence, peace, joy, things that everyone deserves, no matter how kind they are, things that no one should ever apologize for wanting. So that's my story. That's how my daughter was betrayed by family. and how I planned the revenge she was too kind to take, except it wasn't revenge at all. It was justice. It was truth. It was love doing what love sometimes must do, protecting the people who can't protect themselves. Emma is thriving now. Boundary bloom continues to grow. And me? I sleep well at night knowing I fought for my daughter when she needed me most. Would I do it again? Final answer, definitive, in a heartbeat. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to fight for someone you love? How did it turn out? And if you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more true stories about family, betrayal, boundaries, and redemption. Thank you for listening.